How are you doing? It is Wednesday, all day long, all night long. So welcome. Good to see you. It's just humming to myself a little bit of the Beatles back in the day. Yeah. So how's it going? Great, beautiful day here. Cold. Apparently going to get colder. Hey, Brad, how you doing? Claudette, Experimental Elements. Hello. Olga, good to see you. Liz, Joe, how are you doing? Reading your email. Great to see you, buddy. Blazing River, peace. Flower, how you doing? Jamie, what's happening? Scott Shut Hats, how you doing? I'm sure that must mean something, Scott. That's an interesting one. Jamma, Tenabot, haven't seen you here before. Merritt, how are you doing? So we continue to live in the world of where we have come into an age, and I'm working on this one, the age of gullibility. Boy, it's hey, Jaguar Spirit, how you doing? Marsha Reflex, good to see you. Michael, good to see you. Shane, hello. Sarah K, how the heck are you? Sherry, good to see you. Mr. Twister, how you doing, my friend? Awakened Being, good to see you. Ryan, Sabrina, Dwayne. Horace, good to see you. And Benny and Cap, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Jerry, good to see you as well. Creative group, I love this. So I hope most of you, Air Dragon, how are you doing? Thank you. Very kind to you. I5 La Miller, how are you doing? Nobody enjoys playing the fool. You know what? It's true. It's a great song like that. But I think that lyrics is that everybody has to play the fool. Everybody has, I digress. So Catherine, hello, Jeff. So did you survive the hype, the assimilation of the elections here in the United States? I mean, when you walk away from it and you look back at what's going on, wow, you see, and this is where experience comes in. We're all gods. And I think those of us who are awakening to that fact, we realize what the other gods have been doing. And I'll tell you, you got 2020. It's if you're not off cable, cut it off, man. Because the problem is they're gonna try to reach out with their tendrils and bring you in. I used to have a perspective of more of a conservative values, but you know what? It's all the same thing. It's just a matter of degree to someone who is a liberal in physical policy. Each has its own cause and effect. And the thing about it is you don't have to play. I think that's what most people don't realize. You don't have to play. And in many cases, you were never invited to play to begin with. And that's what a lot of people can't handle, that there is that hierarchy. And we live in a dominated control reality. And I don't know how far that reality goes. If it exists in this temporal plane, in this dimension, well, by all evidence, it would be a part of others as well. And if that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, you best get yourself ready. I'm not talking about this plane, because if the degrees only go higher, I don't think it ever stops. How many of you did the invocation today? I got to tell you what, folks, Literally, this is what I wrote when I had concluded mine. Far out. I mean, wow. I've done this before, but there was something different about today's cleansing ritual. I mean, and it's a ritual, it's a ceremony. And a little pointer for those of you who are doing the favor invocation, something you need to add to what I wrote. And you need to invoke your favor on the spirits, on the gods. And as you do the 4 points, the 4 cardinal points, before invoking favor on yourself, health, whatever the case may be, invoke your favor upon all 4 directions as well, up and down as well. There is something that the spirit realm needs as much as we need. That invocation of favor. Now, I don't know what it's like in the spiritual realm. I mean, I've traveled there in my mind, but there is yet the ultimate plunge, the ultimate crossover. But I do know here I have the special ability to speak. Unique thing. Plants talk. They talk in their own language. Well, hello from Ireland. How are you doing, Kathy? Good to see you. You just got that out of the corner of my eye. Raven Wolf, how you doing, girl? But we have the ability. Now, animals have voice, but it's not one that we understand. What I do know about our species, our beings, we are bipedals. It's what we are. We have this amazing gift of speech. Gets us in trouble, but nevertheless, it's powerful. And so often we have a one-way view on the spiritual realm. We see it only from our perspective. And that's limiting. Hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy? Lori, good to see you. Max Vision, hello. Master Classified. Jenny, good to see you. So look at it this way. You're wanting to form an alliance. And when you form an alliance, parties come together. There's a discussion of mutual interest, mutual goals, and how each group can bring something to the table that the other participants can use. I mean, that's the best way to do a deal. I mean, we start talking about millions of dollars, tens of millions, and what have you, the stakes get a little high. And everybody has a goal. Well, that holds just as true. Hey, Gary, how you doing? In the spirit realm. And what I experienced today, and I hope those of you are not, so prudish that you can't do it in the nude, but sometimes circumstances is just make sure your clothing is, clean. You don't want to take it clothing that you've been wearing out in the real world. So today I was led very distinctly. I don't know what Diana is. Well, I do know who she is. I know her presence, and it was very strong today. And I heard this and was instructed to invoke favor on the gods and the spirits. those who are for you and those who are against you. Now, if you did your cleansing ceremony, in the smudging, those spirits are put at bay, the ones that are against you. And sadly, that's just the way it is. But the best weapon that you can use in your arsenal as a god in training, and acknowledge that to the other gods. I mean, that's why you stand there naked. You're not hiding anything. And either you believe or you don't. I happen to believe that there are so many forces, gods, demigods, demiurges. I mean, the list just goes on. And those who are against me, the only weapon I know as a god at this point is to merely invoke favor upon them. As I spoke to them today, may there be nothing missing, nothing broken found in your existence. And then to those gods, that you acknowledge their existence. You don't have to bow down to them. As I told them today, I come to them as an equal. I'm training? Absolutely, I am. But when you have a relationship where there's mutual respect from both parties, not servitude, but mutual respect, then you are equal. Now, they have gifts, powers. You will too. Many of us will advance ahead of most. But nevertheless, there is a structure. And it's not just limited to Earth. It's way out there, baby. It's way out there. But when you invoke your favor upon the angels, the demons, have it as you will, the gods, the all. There was a point for me today where this overwhelming, it was like a blanket. Y'all ever had a warm blanket that just come right out of the dryer? You know how you can put a towel around you and you just got that warmth? I mean, it goes all the way down to your bones. I mean, we all know that. My dog loves it. We left it out in the clothes hamper. She would be right in the middle of it. But that's kind of the feeling that came over me. And when you start invoking favor to the spirits, I'm getting better at this. I'm a god in training, but I'm getting better at it. I know how to speak to the elements now. And it's all a progress of steps. And so it was pretty powerful. I'd encourage what you are saying, Wayne, I should have 2 dots over my... There you go, Jerry. So try that. You're going to do the ceremony. Make sure you do the cleansing. And I do recommend it be done in the nude. It's free. That's all I can say. And skies above, how you doing? So today, I know Brian over at Milky Way Weekly is doing a show, I think at 4 p.m. Eastern time for the Mother Earth blessing. I did mine this morning. I know there will be another one collectively, but you can certainly do that as well. In fact, you should. If you're not invoking favor to Mother Earth, Gaia, then you need to be doing it. It's amazing when you start showing respect to the spirit realm, how quickly the spirit realm will respond to you. And one other thing too as well. Make sure that when you're invoking, you're not, you can command. But again, I'd rather have allies that their desire is to favor me as opposed to have something of a legal structure or hierarchy. I'd rather have companions. And since they control things that I cannot, well, I'd rather have them do it because they'd want to. And so when invoking that, be respectful. Respect will carry you a lot further than being an ingrate. There's just so many people that are just so rude. They're rude in all their mannerisms. They're rude in their speech. They're rude in their spirit, I think, as well. I did that video, Does Your Spirit Stink? It wasn't well received, but those of you who did watch it, you know what I'm talking about. We all do. We've all met people that just stink. It's like in the movie K-Pax, Kevin Spacey, great movie. And where the one guy says, you just stink. He could, in his mind, wherever his mind wants, some would say it was demented. I don't know about that. Just another level of perspective, I think. But he could smell people's spirits, their souls. Some smelled good, and the vast majority stank. So you don't want to stink. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You just don't want to do that. So well, Mel Mac, I can dig that. Yeah, well, you got to use common sense. You know what I'm saying? Either way, in that journey, discretion is always the better form of valor. So be with that on that. Hey, I got some things I want to cover. I was going to try to do a show with Scott Sion and Jeff P today. I don't know. I have some pretty full calendar this afternoon. But so while I was laying out my circle, in fact, I'll show you how I set this out. People have asked what that looks like. And so I will kind of show you. Since I had to bring it inside today because it was 24 degrees out in my garage, and folks, yeah, that gets a little chilly. So I had to bring it inside. And remember, I told you about the string. Well, there you go. And mine this was still, I was setting it up. It takes about an hour for me. I do a lot of meditation, and you should perfect your own. I just simply show you how it's done for myself. And by no means do you need to do that. But so once you get the circle laid out, but here was the thing, so I have this great military compass, yeah, spent way too much money on it. But in any case, I could easily do it with a magnetized needle and some water. But as I was getting the exact cardinal points, I looked. Now, I did this, I guess about 6 weeks ago. In fact, out in my garage, it's actually permanently marked in the floor. And I'm looking at my compass, and I literally had to stand back. It was off. It's as if the whole planet has shifted. Now, if you move your point of center with your shift, you're never going to know that. I mean, you could be shifted where the sun is rising and the sun is setting and not know it. You could be under the illusion that zero is where zero was a year ago, a couple of weeks ago, apparently. And it's moved. I'm just going to tell you, folks, it's moved. And so if I can get some things done, we'll try to get Scott and Jeff P on here. If not, we'll try to definitely get something here real soon. So check this out, folks. I always like to bring kind of the current headlines in here because it kind of shows you our crazy reality. So, newsflash, scientists find clear evidence that phone radiation causes cancer in rats. Wow. Look at this. Exposed to radiation from 2G and 3G smartphones developed heart and brain tumors. Hell, we've left 3G behind and we're into 4 and cruising right into 5. Yeah, let's just see how far that takes us. We've been talking about this. I've been talking about this. Others been talking about it. Here is what we now know. And another, it's like, really? Y'all are just now writing about this? We've been screaming about this. No one listens because, well, we're just far fringers on this. We can't have this in normal media. Why? Because these attorneys that do class action lawsuits are going to seize on this one. The day of big pharma, well, it's a formidable foe. But here it is, folks. What we've been talking about. Now, this is out of Australia. We got a lot of friends, a lot of subscribers in Australia. Hello to all of y'all. Modern medicines are moving through sewer treatment systems and into the aquatic insects and animals that eat them. According to the environmental study in Australia that involved a Hudson Valley researcher, tests of 6 Australian streams near the city of Melbourne found animals there contained high doses of painkillers, antidepressants, and other drugs that had gotten into the water after passing through municipal sewer systems that are unequipped to remove them. So let me just ask the pharmaceutical industry, you brilliant freaking minds, demented as you are, what's your answer to this? And do you think that there is a possibility, a small possibility, that it could affect the behavior of animals, making them do unusual, strange things? They were never meant to have these poisons in their bodies. I mean, could you imagine a kangaroo that is giving overdosed by antidepressants? I mean, what, is the kangaroo suddenly going to realize it was depressed to begin with now? I mean, folks, this ain't good. This ain't good. Here's another one. This one I highly recommend. Dr. Albers and I are going to talk about this one. This is a very interesting article. Had a subscriber send this to me. Thank you. Folks, get ready. I intend to leave, well, I don't know. I look at life coming another 30 years. If it continues as crazy as this, I may be like Mr. Megorium, But as it is right now, the point is, we know we're heading into an ice age. Don't believe the crap of the global warming. I've got the true NOAA charts, the ones that no one goes to their website to check, is particularly the media, and using NOAA's own data conclusively shows we're heading into trouble, folks. Ain't no global warming. 100 years from now, people are going to be shivering. Great article, by the way. Highly recommend. Okay, here we are. So here's one. I love this one, folks. This is from learningmind.com. So let me ask you, how smart do you think you are? Well, I'll guarantee you most of you in here are a hell of a lot smarter than those around you. So here's a simple little test that you can begin, a matrix really. You're creative. Puzzles aren't puzzling. Your common knowledge ain't so common. You think on your feet, always the advisor, learning on the go. You can apply your experience elsewhere. You're a night owl. You're adaptable. You're messy. If you're like that, welcome, welcome, welcome a lot. You're doing good. So check this out. You can see, just go to learningmind.com. It's a great article. All right, it's official. We're going to be talking about this Monday night as well. We now know that the 12 moons are coming into Jupiter like it's a free-for-all. And we now know as well is that at some point in time, there's going to start being some interesting effects on the, we're going to get, like I said, we'll talk more about this as well. Here's one I found interesting. Dirty jokes in the latrine of mosaics of ancient Rome. This one is around 2nd century, 1st century. Apparently they like telling dirty stories as well. And this is why I tell you the whole problem with finding out about the Jesus story. Folks, if they were putting pornography on the men's room, and I'm sure the ladies' room as well, that was also a way of which news traveled. We can get into that later. All right, very interesting article on this. We're going to talk more about this again on Monday night. This professor, PhD, by the way, he is absolutely convinced that we have, in fact, seen a pole shift. Now, you know, there's the geocentric north-south, and then there's magnetic. We'll get more into this, but I'm telling you, I think we're seeing the effects on my compass right now. So let me go on to this one here. So there you go. Let me pull myself up here. So there, it goes to show you folks that something is amiss. There is no doubt about it. We're living in a time, I tell you, I'm calling it the age of gullibility. We're going to be talking about the Gilded Age. Many people aren't aware of the Gilded Age. There was a dramatic shift that took place in the Gilded Age, and it's been downhill since then. And it could very well be that we're seeing the collapse of our species. Now, that collapse may take 100, 200, 300 years, but we're definitely heading there. Technology, I think, is only advancing it. Because today's subject matter is, have you been assimilated? For those of us who consider ourselves awake, for those of us who accept ourselves as gods, this is a hard one to balance out. Because by all empirical evidence, we've all been assimilated to some degree, to some form, to some measure. And that's disturbing. You know, masterclass, I'm gonna let that go. That's cool. That's cool. All right. So for me, I like what Neo said when Morpheus took him into the true world, so to speak. And it's been my problem with predestination. If predestination exists, you have no choice in the matter. It's mental masturbation to say that you do. You don't. If predestination exists, even in the minutest amount, then this is all a scam. It's all a setup. And that's a hell of a position to be in. I don't like it. Many of you don't like it. No. We prefer to think ourselves as free thinkers, sentient, sovereign, immortal beings. So that's the first issue I have. The second one is, what do we do with the fact that no matter how you look at it, we are in fact assimilated? So the title of today's show is, Have You Been Assimilated? I can tell you the answer is yes. We all have. Now, I don't know if it's just on the surface as we're assimilated, like the epitomous of your skin. It's layers. Top layers, the dead layer that you slough off. Isn't that a wonderful term? Hey, baby, are you sloughing off your skin today? And so does it go as far as to the core of the apple? Your core, my core? I don't know. I have my thoughts. So let's look at the word assimilate. Assimilating. To take in and incorporate as one's own. Let's just stop and gnaw on this one for a couple of seconds. Come on, all you hungry beavers. Get on up here and let's gnaw on this a little bit. To take in, I think I read so much in whoever wrote the words in the New Testament. Be careful what you take in. Be careful what you allow in by your tongue, by your eye, by your ear. Absorb. So now we've taken it in and incorporated it as our own. Thinking, we're not being assimilated. No, because this is original thought with me. How can I be assimilated when it's my thought? To bring into conformity with the customs, attitudes of a group, nation, or the like. Adapt or adjust. Wow. By that alone, this is a Moog topic, because we're clearly have been assimilated. Even that which requires the substance of living, eating, drinking, is assimilating the food to our particular need. Wow, think about that. To cause or resemble, usually followed by to or with, to compare. How often do you compare yourself to others? To liken, to modify by assimilation, to be or become absorbed. That just freaks me out when I think about this. To become or to be absorbed. Is death the absorption of you, your memories, your energy into something that's been feeding off of you, that you've been feeding by your life here, entertaining something greater you can't even see? To conform or to adjust to the customs and attitudes, as we said, the new arrivals assimilated easily and quickly. Now, a lot of times, assimilation is synonymous with immigration. An immigrant is expected to be assimilated into the system of which they're immigrating into. Are we all being assimilated into this awakening, this new age truther movement is just another assimilation, a simulation. To bear our resemblance usually followed to become modified by assimilation, something that has and is assimilated. I mean, think about this, folks. So here's the problem. We've seen so many movies, novels written on this very point. If you stand out, if you're different than what the mob is, they're going to turn on you. The risk each of us faces when we refuse to be assimilated, when we no longer take part in the simulation, is now you're an enemy of the simulation. You're an enemy of the deity that controls it. You are a rogue element. And no simulation, no hierarchy will tolerate rogues. You will be hunted down spiritually, mentally, socially, professionally. And you will eventually, every politician, this is why you need to pity a politician. They've sold their soul. This is the best case of seeing what happens to a human being. When they get involved into that matrix, they're the Borg. They'll never be the same. No matter what you think, I've met politicians, congressmen, senators. I've shut them down publicly. I actually shut down the majority whip in a public convention. But that's neither here nor there. Then you stand out. In fact, that's exactly what the gentleman said later. Who was that individual? I want to know his name. This is the risk. And if it continues the way it's going, we will be the ones on the guillotine. Not the Christians, not the Jews, not the Muslims, not the Hindus. No. Us. Because they're going to have to shut our minds off. The more we become immune to 5G, we become more immune to their tactics, the bigger threat you become. And the thing about it is, when you try fitting in, it's exactly the term, fitting in. Anytime you try this, and many of us do, we all try to fit in. It's the psyche of our species. We're communal. Well, some of us are. I mean, many, such as myself, were pretty solitary. I mean, as empaths, I've learned that being in crowds is not healthy. It took me 6 decades to figure that one out, folks. Don't take 6 days to figure it out. Take my advice. If you are a true empath, you know instinctively you don't want to be in large crowds. Too many thoughts hitting you, too much energy. But still, when you try to fit in on this, you're assimilating yourself. Now, spiritually, this gets deep. I remember, Dianetics, L. Ron Hubbard. est. I mean, in my lifetime, I have seen one scheme after the other because it's inherent in our nature. We want to know the answers. When religion no longer suffices for the illusion, the elixir of amnesia, when it becomes bitter, you're forced to begin to look at. You cannot deny what you are. You're a spiritual being. You want to be around other spirits. You want to be a part of a collective hive. Why? There's safety in numbers. But so often people run into the wicked wizards. And they are wizards. L. Ron Hubbard was a wizard. When you begin to exert a spiritual mind control on the masses, that's a grand wizard. They exist, both the masculine and the feminine. That's the danger of fitting in. I found this interesting. Now, this is what they teach churches, they teach pastors, they teach this in seminaries. Assimilation, the key to maintaining church growth. This is the body of Christ. Think about this one. This is exactly, and what I found interesting about the graphic was that, hell, at least they're being honest. Now, they don't give that on the bulletin as you walk in. Prepare to be assimilated. Resistance is futile. We got your ass. And sadly, all too many are assimilated. But they go willingly, never realizing the depth by which they're being assimilated. This is what assimilation looks like, physically, spiritually. You know, your image is vitally important. It connects to your core. And when you're forced to assimilate, as it is in the military, you go through boot camp. The reason why they shave your heads off is that they want to take away from you all reason of individuality. Today, the military is a bunch of wusses. And I know, don't save your emails. I'll guarantee you, I'll get on a Marine that came out of Korea, and he will tell you the same thing. They fail physically, they fail mentally. Today, the military has to be able to recruit 5 in order to find 1 qualified. But this is what this looks like. Look at yourself spiritually the same way. What did they do to you? How did they alter you? Can you get back? And here is just the hard core reality, Cupcake. You've already been digitally assimilated. There ain't no going back. This is what we all have been assimilated into. It's just a question is really how deep does it go? They're assimilating our brain frequencies. They're assimilating our DNA. They're assimilating our habits, your passions, your desires, your perversions. The problem with technology is you sell your soul. And what I mean by selling your soul, you're literally selling your soul. You sell yourself of all privacy. All of you who think you're such hipsters on the tech side and you love to have those Alexas and everything else, and now the Facebook portal, you're thinking that this is, oh, I'm hip, man. Listen, I'm all up in technology. Hell, I'm going to get the newest iPhone. You already are gone. Write you off. Most likely you'll never come back because there is no privacy. That's total assimilation. I don't understand why couples have those things in their bedroom. They're picking up more than just your voice. But this is the fact. So examine your life. Just how simulated are you? Most won't do this, but those who do, ever sit down, just take a pad of paper, start thinking, how assimilated are you? From day one, the moment you're born, you're being assimilated into this temporal form of reality. It takes you, the average human being, 3 months just to get over the physical trauma and begin to adapt, to assimilate in thought. So much that you have to assimilate. Otherwise, you can't exist here. You are immediately assimilated into a family structure. Whether you had choice in that or not, that's your own decision. So you're immediately assimilated into a family structure. As you continue to grow, you become more assimilated into customs of the family, of the parents, traditions, eventually school, and eventually society, the morals, the standards, the assimilation. Weird, isn't it? But sadly, that's where we are. Now, I happen to think that we can disengage, but apparently, no matter where you look at this, you have to assimilate to a degree. The question is the assimilation total? And again, I think for many of us, we're shaking it off. Some of us had a tough road getting here. And you know what the thing about it is that once you walk out of it, of any simulation, you change. It's the same thing in relationships. Your first love, the person who eventually you marry, decide to spend your life with. That's all a part of the process. The question I have, though, is, are we all not just a simulation of the all anyway? I mean, is it an illusion to really think there is such a thing as sovereignty? I don't know. I don't think we ever end, so we're going to have plenty of opportunity to debate this. I'm sure, in the ceremony I was doing this morning, talking to the gods, I said, listen, I'm one of you. You had to start somewhere yourself. I mean, no one is just simply made a god. And I said, I wonder, Wayne. Brandy, so do I. But this is the process. I think that we assimilate together here. Why? Because it's that support mechanism. Do we create our own simulation in these environments, in these chat rooms? And does each YouTube channel create a simulation that allows the viewer to immerse themselves into whatever period of time that may be? And if we find the experience pleasurable, well, we like it. We want to come back to it. If we find it distasteful, we want to go back to that too. As I tell people all the time, never doubt the stimulation of eccentricity. My wife will tell you that. Someone asked her, we were at a get-together, and they had seen the channel, and they asked her, they said, what is it like living with him? Speaking of me, I always like it when you're in there and they're talking to you in the third person. Like, wait a minute. And she had this cutest grin on her face, and she says, well, eccentricity is stimulating. So there you go. Yeah. And we're going to, Joe, we're going to get you, I want to get you on, buddy. And we're going to, I've had more emails and requests to finish your treatise, is what I'll call it. It's definitely a treatise. And get you on. We're going to get Capped on as well. Chance is doing great. We're going to get him on. He's, I think, getting rock and rolling as well. We're spreading the message. And maybe that's part of the simulation as well. Maybe being assimilated isn't all that bad. Maybe it's part of the process. I mean, each cycle we go through, as we step through those veils, and I don't think it ever stops. It's that whole picture of the hallway with the doors that never stop. I think that's the journey we're on. It's inconceivable, but yet it is. We all know this. I love my body. Have you invoked favor on your body, by the way? You should. Remember, your body is separately a living entity as well. You're just occupying it. So invoke favor on it. But I love this body. It's been a faithful companion. As I told it this morning, when I leave, I only can make reference to what this body has allowed me to see this realm by. And I'm going to miss it. I don't know what happens in the spirit realm, but I know that this body is unique. I'm sure I'll look back on it. You see, I don't believe in the recycling thing. I mean, at some point in time, it's just common sense. If a person is regurgitated over and over and over again, eventually it becomes numb to the process. And to say that reincarnation is to go over and over again is, in my opinion, I think limiting. I don't think I know. It's limiting the all. It's saying that you can't go to another level, that you just recycle into this one. I don't think so, folks. I think the vast majority, maybe there's an exception to the rule. I think the vast majority move on. They're not coming back. Now, I will say this. I think that there's definitely something going on a much higher level. We're pouring in an absolutely inundation of souls, spirits. I don't know if these are all the souls that we think, but there is definitely something going on big time. It's almost like the last call for alcohol. They put that out there in the cosmos, and every freaking spirit around is saying, well, let me see if I can get in on this one. Yeah, I don't know, Gashara, either. I question that. Now, I think that there are light travelers that have the ability to transcend time-space continuum. But here's my thing. And bear with me, ladies and gentlemen, as I bring this argument out. So reincarnation is the recycling of spirits or souls, right? So if you take that process, then, well, how do you get the multiplication? I mean, at some point in time, what you're saying is that this is finite. You see, the yin and the yang, karma, not so sure, because it's illogical. It says that there could not be another plane, or our perception is that, well, you're not worthy enough, you haven't learned enough to go to the next plane. Says who? And if you have the ability to break space-time, then there's nothing reliable, because you get the paradox. Now, if this is some prison on some astral plane, maybe we're seeing a lot of people have been sent to prison. I don't know. But what if it's something that's totally different than that? What if it is just as the unique experience about what it is? Learning to master this. I mean, come on, folks. I've seen spiritual entities enter bodies that they can't handle it. They can't handle the 5 physical senses. It freaks them out. And what if it's just that? What if it is, in fact, that you mastered this physical body that allows you to go on to the next plane? I think it's quite a reward, that with the fact that a person can walk, talk, speak, do the things that the body does autonomously, automatically, but yet you have individuality within. The spirit being learning how to master the physical. I don't know. I think that's why we're gods in training. Listen, if God, here's the thing I had with the Christians when I left that religion and had this throwdown with a group of pastors, that, so you're saying that God is everything, that nothing was created that wasn't created is in God. Yeah. I said, but then how do you factor in that there are so many other gods? Well, there's only one true God. Yeah, we all believe that. Of course. But it can't be just yours. No, I think there's something far more different going on here. As a God, I think it will, and I'm just saying that if you learn to control your emotions, you've advanced even higher. And let's say you begin to master thought, then you truly are God. The next plane may be a chance for you to test those very things that you learned here. All right. I'm reading a great book, by the way. Interesting book, The Externalism of the Hierarchy. Folks, this is a, wow. I mean, wow. This kind of validates everything that we've been talking about. We are gods. And no God desires to have worshipers. Let me just get that to you. What the deity, the all, if it's even that important, but I think respect and honor is above worship. Because if I respect you, I'm going to honor you. I only want to do good for you. And that's honor and that's respect. And it's not used as a tool to start violence. So many people today say, well, you disrespected me. No, the highest form of respect is for you to never feel you've been disrespected. You rise above that. You are truly a master and a king. All right, folks. Appreciate it. 1 o'clock. I've kept you for an hour. I just want to invoke favor upon all of you today. I saw every one of you when I was doing my invocation this morning. Favor is what I think for all of you. And above all, that wisdom reigns supreme in your lives. May your house, may your name always have wisdom reigning. So, folks, I'll see you again tomorrow. If I can get things broke up today, I don't know. We'll try to get in here with Scott and Jeff P. If not, we'll try to get those two wonderful gentlemen on here along with Dr. Albers. Folks, be good to yourself. Thank you all for being a part of my journey. You've added and enriched my life. I am truly a wealthy man beyond that which is just in dollar signs. There is a wealth that it far exceeds and is far more eternal. And that's what all of you have added into my life. And I hope I put that into some of yours. All right, folks, be good to yourself. We'll see you tomorrow at this time. Tomorrow for sure. All right. Bye-bye.